Let's do another one here. Fracking should be allowed because although it does involve some environmental risk, it reduces our dependence on foreign oil, and there is much greater harm to the environment due to foreign oil drilling than there is to fracking. So what's the conclusion here?
That fracking should be allowed.
Perfect. Awesome. Fracking should be allowed. And why do you say that's the conclusion, Jasmine?
Well, first of all, there's also the because, which is an indicator word, and everything following that is evidence to support why fracking should be allowed.
Perfect. And if you could cut out one part of this stimulus that wasn't central to the argument, that was neither evidence nor conclusion, what would that be?
I don't know, maybe like all of like the stuff below that says there's a much greater risk of harm, all of that other stuff.
So we got a couple of pieces of evidence here, right? We have the word because indicating evidence. And before we get to the actual evidence, we have this part bounded by 2 commas.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So if we cut that out and we say fracking should be allowed because why? Number 1, reduces dependence on foreign oil. 2, much greater harm to the environment due to foreign oil drilling than fracking. So 2 different pieces of evidence that together guarantee the conclusion fracking should be allowed. So that part between the commas is not the direct part that should follow the because. It's really a parenthetical statement. And what role is this phrase here playing?
It's a filler.
Yeah, it's a filler. It's a filler. And what else is it doing?
Does it describe?
Yeah, it's describing, it's giving some background. It's a counter premise. It's acknowledging a weakness of the argument in favor of fracking. So this argument is somewhat balanced. You may not agree with the conclusion, but it's pointing out a potential problem with fracking, that there is environmental risk. They're saying, despite the risks, there are some pros that outweigh the cons. So this is like what you would want to do on the LSAT writing sample. You want to give a well-reasoned argument that acknowledges the pros and cons of the side that you choose. This is not a super extreme argument saying fracking is the best thing ever, there are no downsides at all. They're saying there's a potential problem with it, but they're dismissing that problem in favor of the 2 pieces of evidence stated: reduces dependence on foreign oil and greater harm due to foreign oil drilling than due to fracking. So this part bounded between 2 commas, you could chop that out and the argument would still flow pretty smoothly. And yeah, I do think, Fabiola, that this is trying to trick us or distract us in some way. Anytime you have filler that's not core to the argument, it's cluttering things up. And overall, a counter premise, is it really entirely filler? I couldn't say that it serves no role at all. It's there for, it plays a role in the argument, but if you want to boil the argument down to its core, simply evidence conclusion, then that statement I called parenthetical kind of gets in the way. And so I would chop that out maybe. I would, if it were on the paper LSAT, I would cross it out with a pen. Otherwise, maybe you want to highlight it in some way. Obviously, on the digital LSAT and the Flex, highlighting can actually emphasize something unless you train yourself to use it for a different purpose. Luckily, the program I'm using right now kind of downplays or de-emphasizes that particular phrase, and we can jump to what we really want to focus on. But chopping out information that you don't want to focus on can be really useful to help you really just get down to what matters here. So conclusion, fracking should be allowed. Evidence, reduces dependence on the oil, and there's greater harm to the oil due to the oil than due to fracking. So conclusion is what's immediately before the word because. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.